Welcome to the Married to Marketing podcast, where our lifelong love affair with marketing is second only to our commitment to each other.
I'm Todd LAIRE, CEO and co-founder of LAIRE Digital.
And I'm Laura LAIRE, VP of Creative Strategy, co-founder of LAIRE Digital, and Todd's better half.
Together, we've found success in business and in life by combining our talents, entrepreneurial spirit, and creativity.
Whether you're a marketing newbie or a seasoned pro, Married to Marketing is a podcast that'll have you flexing your creative muscles, pushing boundaries, and thinking outside the box.
Our mission? To equip you with knowledge, tools, and strategies that will skyrocket your brand's success. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to marketing's role in 2026 as part of the sales motion that we know all too well. I'm joined by my lovely co-host here, Emily Nash, marketing strategist at LAIRE. And yeah, welcome back, Emily.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah. So last podcast was so good. We both agree that we couldn't cut it off. There was just too much to continue to talk about. And so we decided to do impromptu, a part 2 segment at the end of the last podcast. So here we are fulfilling our promise to each other. And I thought it might be helpful to just quickly recap what we discussed last time. What do you think, Emily?
Yes, of course. Let's tie it into what we were just saying.
All right. So we definitely got into the elephant in the room, AI and its role between marketing and sales alignment, but then also using it as a decision-making partner. And obviously we're seeing a lot of that with buyer intention, website traffic, search queries. Attribution is starting to reveal more and more AI, or as we hear, ask engine optimization and ask engine usage. And then you couple that with longer than what we're used to, maybe it's the new normal, longer buying cycles. And not only that, more complex, more decision makers, more components, right, that are dependent on others in order to move forward and have a green light to purchase something. Specifically, I think what we see a lot is in the business to business or B2B space. But we also talked about the tried and true methods of old school follow-up, the fortunes in the follow-up, handwritten notes, in-person interactions, events still matter. And then, obviously coupling that with the latest trends and what we're seeing in technology with AI. What else did we get into?
You touched on AI, of course, shifting buyer behavior, so less touch points with people. They're finding their decision points online, longer decision cycles. I think that may persist in 2026. And then that reshaping the relationship and how marketing and sales align and supporting each other. And then, of course, the in-person connection being surprising still contender in our tactics for closing the deal.
Yeah.
So let's pick up where we left off. Let's dive deeper into what happens after the handoff, how to create seamless consultative sales experiences, and how both teams can operate as one unified revenue engine. Want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah.
So let's talk about changing sales in 2026. What new pressures do you think sales teams will face entering the next year? We have economic slowdowns, leadership shifts, tech overload, talent changes.
All of the above. I think sales quotas will be even more intense for most enterprise teams. We run into that with some of our software partners that we co-sell with. I think it's also, there's increased pressure from a shareholder perspective on down to, the last few years haven't been great economically. And so companies are trying to, and teams more so, are trying to make up for lost ground. And, heard of some teams, they didn't even hit their goals for last year, but they're increasing their goals this year. So they're going to hit their goals from last year this year and hit this year's goals. So yeah, lots of pressure, and at the same time, like quality lead attribution, quality lead generation is a big topic as well. We've run into this too, Emily, like paid media, right? So we're seeing an impact on organic search dropped, like it's down globally across the board. Big reason for that is AI, but it also impacts paid search. So companies, I think, that are trying to grow aggressively will just forget about trying to grow organic, which is in my opinion, I think you agree, directly tied to success with AI, because AI is, scraping the web and scraping search engines and then coming up and delivering recommendations and along with that opinions, and with their prompt returns. But it's also impacting paid media. So teams that are dialing up and saying, "I'll forget it, we'll just make up for it in paid media," they're not going to have the results that they're used to. We're seeing that trend with big paid media focused only agencies, that they're just not able to deliver the demand that their clients are expecting, and spending more on paid media isn't necessarily doing it either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dig into that a little bit on the paid piece, right? So you see organic traffic down. We've seen it 50% in some cases, like directly in half a year ago. And so then your response or reaction is to go into paid. Maybe you've never been there before, or you are there and you're going to increase it to increase that traffic. If you're thinking that, and the report I read from maybe SEO Journal was that everyone's doing that. And so then costs are increasing. So everyone's going into the same auction with their same daily bids, and that increases the cost per click and the views, whether it's Google or LinkedIn or other channels. So then it's more expensive to pay to play than ever before when you're trying to increase traffic. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm agreeing. I'm seeing it. It's challenging. So we should talk about how do we combat that. Like we still need to focus on organic. Definitely agree with you there. I think that's a LAIRE differentiator, that we
Yeah.
always focus on the long play and getting the squeeze from a longer opportunity to get that organic traffic over time. But paid, I think it's a specialty that has to be more dialed in, more so than ever before, if it hasn't already been.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, like a holistic picture into marketing and driving, quality lead generation. So what else are you doing? Obviously the webinars and the videos play a role, running campaigns to contextual ads. So, maybe getting away from dumping so much into paid search and putting that more into paid media, and using things like video and slide shares and more interactive type content. I think there's always going to be a place for that. But then webinars, scheduled webinars and events, and I think maybe the jury's still out. Like we got webinared to death when the pandemic hit, and that's really all you could do. But I don't think you should erase that from your marketing schedule either. Obviously, events still. I mean, I'm an old school, like to see people in person and have direct one-to-one conversations. I think events and traveling, sponsoring events is still relevant. So if you're doing all of those things, podcasts like what we're doing here, right? Like having candid conversations, talking about hard topics like how do we grow business in an ever and changing and shifting time. I think others would be able to relate to us or relate to you if you're putting on a podcast and want to have a conversation because you're demonstrating subject matter expertise and have forthcoming knowledge on something that they might be struggling with. And content is king, context is queen, as I've heard. So I think as long as you're distributing it off, in multiple ways, multiple channels, and then repackaging it, repurposing it, and sharing, cross-sharing it through different platforms, then you can ease the pressure on your paid media budget, hopefully, because you're driving some, not search, but true organic leads through them coming across your content, and it's something resonating with them about it.
Well, you sound like Yamini at HubSpot. That's what she led with it. She said more channels, more ways to consume your content. That's why they lead with podcasts more so in 2025 than ever. And they do like short form video, a ton of different content, and then just getting beyond just your one channel. So if you're on one channel like Google, focus on others, and then all your different types of content. I think this is an example of it. Like I'm speaking with a founder of the company. So if I could get the founder of all my clients on a video chat and have a conversational piece of content and be able to repurpose that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's keep going. How's the buying process changed even more dramatically in the last year? Are decisions taking longer? Are more stakeholders involved? Are buyers going even deeper into research before talking to sales?
Yes. Oh, love this. And I've come prepared with a story. So our agency is in the market for some enablement software. And this isn't what you're thinking. This is some other software that you haven't really been brought into yet, Emily. So we're evaluating this, at the same time that we're onboarding to the other that you know about. And so it's really more project enablement related, like on the client side, has to do a lot with the, the CRM consulting that we do. And then, here's the challenge. Let me start with the challenge. The challenge is, how can we as an agency create more value for our clients with their usage of software that we recommend to them? Because we know that pain point, like, to help them grow, we share with them everything that we can do, and then also what technology can do, and us working in tandem with that technology. And I think a pain point is, are they getting 100%, not possible at all, but are they getting close to 100% usage of that investment in the software? And so we're trying to solve for ways to create more value for them, but then also kind of the side of that is, for lack of a better word, create more dependency on us, so that they see value in us. And so we're evaluating the software that does this, and it's fairly complex. And the company that offers it is one of a few. And they know that their product is complex and it solves for complex issues. And so the buying process has been absolutely delightful with them. And our business executive, our business development representative at the company, has been so dramatically thorough with us. And I'm a salesperson. I run the sales for our agency, and I've invested a lot in sales training, and I've read sales books, and I belong to membership groups and forums, and and I've been selling for 25 years. And so I've learned the tricks of the trade, and I just watching this person in action, because they do all the things I do that I've learned over the years. But what I especially like is how he uses those things in conjunction with how the software solves their customers' issues. And what he does is he makes sure, through just about every thread of conversation that we have, that he's identifying problems we're trying to solve for, and then trying to match his software with how it might solve. And it has been just a delightful consultative sales process through and through. So much so that we've been at it for 6 months. I know it sounds like a nightmare to a salesperson, but I wouldn't even think of this individual as a salesperson, because he's truly been a guide, for lack of a better term, and a guide that, has an end agenda to ultimately sell us on the software. But what I love about it is that he's just continuing to go towards, is this answer your question? Okay, this is what I'm receiving from you, and this is what I'm delivering back, and how our product can solve for your issue. Are there any other issues? Instead of like, okay, do you understand? Great. Now let's go to our pricing page and see what subscription would be best for you. Mm-hmm. He's just not doing that. He's just like, until there's nothing left to talk about, no stone unturned, that we're basically asking him, okay, where do we sign up? How do we get started? And a few things too, like obviously a lot of selling is happening virtually, right? Like we're dependent on video cameras and things like that. And so like I run into that, like entire teams that I'm selling to are not on camera. And so I don't know if they're paying attention to me or not. And depending on how they got to us, if I, brought our agency to them and prospected them, then I'm kind of like at their mercy, if you will, like on how, like, hey, I'd love to see y'all on camera. Hey, Emily, your camera's not working. Is there a problem? More so if you came to me and started going through our buying process, then I might suggest that you turn it on. And we were in a call the other day, and I couldn't help but just grin ear to ear. And one of our team members was not on camera, and he was like, "Hey, do you mind turning on your camera?" And I was on camera, and I just loved it, because he was exerting some authority there, and exerting a preference. But it was also going to help him solve for us. Like, are we getting what he's saying? Are we paying attention? I love that. He also, too, never, ever leaves a meeting with us without booking a follow-up communication, follow-up meeting, how he's going to deliver, like the homework that he's assigned himself based on what we've given him, homework he's assigned to us. It's just been such a delight. So I could go on and on about this individual, but that is the sales process. I mean, even if I think, putting it all aside, if today, and it is, the buying process is more complex and the buying cycles are longer, this is the way to do it. consultative selling, continuing to ask, like, what else are you trying to solve for? What else are you trying to fix? Let's try something else. We've been in a demo account. We're on a free trial. We've built things out that eventually will expire, driving more dependency on this software to ultimately buy it. One, to solve for our issue, but two, to get the time back that we've invested in the sales process, getting familiar and building confidence in the tool. So I think that's the way to go. And I hope to see more teams adopting this. I mean, the person that we're working with definitely is more senior experienced, but he's not doing anything that can't be done by the most junior, sales rep or SDR, business development rep that's coming into their careers.
He sounds like a total pro. It sounds like he's building trust through pain, like
Yes.
solving for your pain, which there's a lot of probably in 2025 and 2026. Things have moved so fast. So people are just
Yes.
in weird positions, like wanting to know what makes sense for them for growth. And he just kept asking, what's your issue? How do I solve for it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see people getting more junior, or anyone who's more novice getting stuck in the process. Like, how can I get you from lead to opportunity, or to meeting book to demo or whatever, and forgetting to like the person on the other side and just being consultative, like a Sherpa along the
Yeah.
way.
He's a total Sherpa, and he's guiding us to K2, or Everest Base Camp. I mean, and there's pitfalls along the way, and there's definitely rabbit trails and things that aren't as relevant as important. And he's managing all of that and keeping us on task, building confidence, building trust. Almost to the point of like, we've talked pricing a little bit, and that it's changed. Like at the beginning, we were like, okay, well, this is what we're thinking users wise and how much. He's like, oh, well, this could easily be an enterprise solution, and it'd be, a couple $1,000s a month. And we're like, okay, well, that doesn't scare us off. But then what do we get? 6 months later, now we know what we get. And we're actually realizing we don't actually need that. That reminds me of another sales experience I had. My wife and I years ago, like 8 years ago, we were in the market to buy a Tesla. And at the time, it was a new concept where it wasn't necessarily like a dealership, but more so like a physical place you ordered your car to be built online. You just go and see it, and interact with it, but then you're not driving it off the lot that day. You're actually building it online on their website at the dealership with your sales consultant going through it. And one thing I'll never forget is we were looking at the SUV version, and it's the X model, and it has the Falcon doors that open and close, like Falcon wings. And it's really cool. And this is like 2016 going into 2017. And so it was a relatively newer model where they'd had their sedan model out for, I want to say, probably 5 or 6 years already at that point. And, we were talking about like, okay, this is kind of our needs and all that. And he just really deduced like, what exactly are our core needs, and could multiple of their products solve for that, not just the SUV? Because we went straight to SUV thinking we have a family, we have sports, we have money stuff, like we've got friends, we've got pets, like we need more room to throw it in the back. And all of those things we presented to him actually could have been solved just fine with the sedan model that had a longer running track record and better maintenance and repair reputation than, say, the newer vehicles that just don't have the track record yet. And he just straight up honestly said, knowing that the SUV, the X model with the Falcon wings, was more money, cost more than the sedan by like, I think $15,000, $20,000. And he would make less commission recommending the sedan model to us, because he said, we have not seen everything yet to see with what goes wrong in this newer version. Those Falcon doors, they will break down. They will have fault. So if you're open to it, might I recommend our less expensive, but more tried and true workhorse sedan model? And I was just floored with that consultative approach. He actually recommended something that would better fit us, make him less money, but it was truly solving for our needs above all else. And, another experience I'll never forget.
I thought that the story was going to go a different way. I thought you were going to talk about how going to the dealership and talking to someone was like that 2016 experience. Because yes, I too bought a car, went to the dealership. It was long, and I don't care how consulting he was or how much he cared about my pain points. It was in person, and it took up my precious time.
Yeah.
Flash forward to about 3 years ago, we had a car delivered to my house. I literally had a call online. They checked my face and, took my identity, signed a contract, and had spent whatever the car fee was, had it delivered by Carvana, delivered to my
Yeah.
driveway. White glove experience. So I don't know if that's a learning for where we are in the future. Like, if I cannot go to a dealership and talk to someone ever again, I won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if
1,000%.
that's for 2026. Like, it's nice having consulting experience, and then if I could have more touch points that are me directed and don't take up as much of my time, I think that could be where things are going.
Yes, 100%. We ordered one recently and we ordered it online from the comfort of our home. They told us when it was going to be in and where to pick it up. And we went and got it. And it was an hour in and out, check in, show ID, get a quick walkthrough. Really, the most time took like showing us how to use the car, which was nice. It's hard to replicate that through delivery, although I could see that happening. But in the future, which I would much rather have it delivered to our house too, and that is why Carvana and some of these others that are so big in the market. But pretty soon, electric, fully autonomous cars just drive off the sales floor to your house and then give you a virtual tour of itself in your driveway. That's
This
coming.
conversation is going in a couple of directions. One, I'm curious, and this is not on my agenda at all. AR or VR? Does that have any? I know we talk about it a lot. Does that have any place in the sales process for B2B? I know there's also like we do home builders and that kind of thing where that can make sense. Is anyone touching that?
Yeah, AR, augmented reality, right? So you see reality as it is, but then there's superimposed things in place. Absolutely, I think I'm seeing it a lot. I mean, you hit on a construction. My wife was looking at a pool design, took pictures of our house and submitted it to this tool, and then it superimposed different designs of pools in our backyard. Looked real, like it was out there right now. Fascinating. Talk about building buyer confidence. Like, exactly what it's going to look like. And then you can make adjustments, right? Like before you just kind of had to break ground and hope for the best, you know, where virtual reality is, I think I'm just thinking of property again. Like I could tour something and not actually have to physically be there. And so that's an idea, that's a design that we're seeing more and more too, in this day and age, which is also like, it just takes the limits out of buying constraints.
Yes, I don't want to get into specific clients, but trying to think if that's going to be down the line for 2026, like where that fits in, showing off property, new homes, breaking ground, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, bringing it back to our topics of today, because that's kind of a niche for some clients. With external uncertainty, we may have touched on this a little bit. We have policy, market volatility, changing customer expectations. How is that reshaping how sales teams prioritize, plan, and forecast?
Yeah, that's a big question with a lot of variables in it, right? I think commitment is important. So can your product be returned, or is there churn that you have to account for in like specifically like forecasting and planning? Obviously we're always planning to grow and keep every single client we bring on and then add more to them so that we can forecast and grow. But it'd be foolish to think you're going to have 100% retention in any business. And so you have to plan for attrition, as well, and then bake in your growth numbers with that in mind, and considering that, AI policy is gaining more steam as well, like how companies, just like privacy policy, it's also like good stewardship in using AI and what your clients or customers should know about how you use it and how you use their information. So we're kind of seeing how that's coupled with, privacy. Obviously, selling information is a hot topic for many buyers. All of us actually, we don't want our precious contact info sold or used in a nefarious way. So communicating that, being transparent on, like we've developed an AI policy and have put it on our website. Other agencies like ours have followed suit. We're seeing that, in more general company usage as well. So arming marketing and sales, knowing that those things exist and how they may impact the work that they do, and again, in an effort to share more transparency around it through the buying process. Like, obviously, we want to build trust, want to have transparency, want to build confidence, know, like, and trust, right? And so all of those things are intertwined.
Yeah, I'm curious if other clients have stepped into that. Naturally, it would make sense for some SaaS clients and their product and how they use that. For us, it makes sense because we're working within kind of intellectual property and how that comes across.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Let's keep moving. What does it really mean for marketing to operate as part of the sales motion rather than as a separate pre-sales function?
Yeah, so let's dive into that. You're on the marketing side, I'm on the sales side. I have expectations from you on what would best help me. If we're working together on the same team, I have expectations of what I should be receiving from you to help me accomplish my goal, do my job well, and grow my end of the company. Having said that, you also have expectations of actions that I will take, based on your hard work, and due diligence. So maybe we should dive into that.
It feels a little heated because naturally there's actually skin in the game. So yeah. I mean, it comes well. Take a step back. What I read recently this morning is that where we are in 2026, no more reaction. There's a lot of change in 2025. People are saying, "Do I need to go here? This traffic dropped. What do I do next?" So in 2026, if we could just get aligned on one metric, we all look at this North Star, and maybe there's other things along the way. But if I'm focused on traffic and you're focused on meetings, like we're not aligned in our one key metric. So if you and me, and then also like anybody who's in charge of an AM, like who's in charge of clients, what their metric is, we all have one key metric. I think we can align and have a more simplified North Star in growth.
Yep. Yeah. Typically, I would
So
probably
3, 2, 1, say your metric, and if it's the same, then we're aligned.
Yeah, I would say revenue.
Yeah. Yes. Well, there's a conversation coming to you on that one. We're trying to get it tied into HubSpot.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that's the North Star, and removing silos in teams and reforming around a central North Star, which absolutely should be revenue or something that is the equivalent of that in an organization, which is usually always that.
Yeah, it is. I think like for like a builder, like they may be like focused on like meetings kept, before they get to that final revenue piece.
Yeah. Well, collective teams, where you and I both are focused on revenue, but what are our metrics below that specifically apply to our job? And you're right, meetings, kept, contracts signed, quotes given, all of those things. Yours would be, traffic, lead generation, sales qualified, opportunities, win backs, customer marketing. I always bring this up with prospects we talk to that have the ability to sell and resell current and past customer relationships. And customer marketing is probably one of the most underserved areas of most all companies. Like, they just end with the sale and then just continue to go market. And as we know, it's harder to win and, find, land, and win a new customer than it is to do all that with an existing customer, because the trust's already there and the reputation's, built.
So customer marketing and former customer marketing are some opportunities. And then maybe there's some AI layered in where you can synthesize what information you have, calls you've had, recent things, why they left back in the day, or why they're still customers, and what you've recently been working with them on, and to help make that sale.
Like bringing marketing into it, like in kind of that consultative role?
Well, there's two sides of it. I was thinking if we have opportunity with past customers, so customer marketing for past customers, they're no longer with us, and this is open for lots of our clients, and it's probably forgotten territory. Like, they've known us before, they're known quantity, they left for a given reason. What was that reason? Well, rather than having anecdotes like from Bob over in sales who worked with them 4 years ago and be like, oh yeah, this was what I knew about them, you can like point to a transcript and pull real data and say, this is why they left, and build like a personalized campaign around that. And then it's a little different for customers where you would bring in like an SME, for example, to help be that Sherpa at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did we align on that?
Yeah. So if I think about, so I'm thinking about my current experience, and it's like we get into the weeds with this product that I'm evaluating, going back to this story, and I'm just like Mr. High Level guy. Like we came to you because I'm trying to solve for this. Like, how does this, and it actually does what he's showing me, but it's so granular that I'm kind of losing sight of, like, are we still talking about what I originally wanted to solve for when I came here, And so luckily I have a counterpart at LAIRE that is also evaluating this, that is eating up the granular stuff. It's his job to know that. Like, he's going to be doing these things that we're going over. And I'm part of it to be exposed to it, to also learn and have ideas. But a lot of it's kind of like over my head. So I'm like losing, not confidence, but kind of like my losing, like, is this still solving for what I wanted to solve for, even though we're so in the weeds here. So I would think if I didn't have this counterpart that was just eating it up by the spoonful, and I just was like, I don't know, then he'd need to go back and revisit call notes and summaries and action items and bullets and things to kind of reintroduce my pain that he's trying to solve for, that we supposedly got way off track on, into the weeds with product features and details. Maybe we got too deep with product features and we're not aligning them with the benefits, right? Like, stop selling features and focus more on benefits, because that's what us as buyers actually care about. So I could see some redirection there.
That makes me think that we as account managers, in some cases, who work with clients every day, should maybe go through a demo with our clients. And if they're just going through features, we can find friction right there in the sales process.
Yeah.
And then also, it sounds like your savvy salesperson is dealing with a buying committee of like the high level guy, you, and then the everyday person who's going to use it. And he's having to navigate those two decision makers.
Yeah, that's tough. I run into it is we're down the road already with somebody, like maybe they're more influencer rather than decision maker. And that's important to identify up front. Like, what's the buying process like on your side? If you got the green light, do you need approval? Like, is there others that are involved? Like, and we get kind of those false answers. Like, no, I'm it. Like, no, I just, need to know everything here. And then they're like, okay, this is great. Okay, great. When would you like to get started? Well, I've got to bring in my manager, or I got to bring in my, accounting person or whatever, so they understand. And then we have to start all over again. We have to reintroduce the pain and, reintroduce the solutions, and then show, how we can solve for that. And like, that's just a time and momentum killer too. Right. So that's adding complexity and time onto the sales. So you could try to prevent that as much as possible. I think most of the time, if you're following a proper playbook, like, you're gonna recognize that right away, and then say, is there any objection to adding them to our next call so that we can discuss it together, or sending them the summary. We do that, right? Like, somebody can't make a call at the last minute, but we continue it with who we have, and then we send them the recording and the summary and all that. But hopefully they watch it, and there's tools now that can actually track if they watched it or not, so that could be helpful as well. But more complexity there.
Sounds like it. All right, we're talking about complexity. So how are we going to adapt to longer buying cycles?
It's kind of the $64,000 question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, back to my experience, continuing to push for more product knowledge building and solution and problem solving through solutions presented. So much so, maybe it really should be, Emily, maybe it really should be an 11 to 12 month sales process, depending on what you're selling, how big, how complex. Like, maybe you've hit some home runs that you landed something in a month, but it normally should have been a 6 to 9 month, 11-month process. And maybe that's been this approach of this excellent consultant that we've been working with, knowing that it's gonna, he understands our needs, he understands our timing. So he's always known it's been like, well, let's revisit this in the fall. We'll have better bandwidth to go through it. We'll slow down some so that we can get into it. So he's just kind of been prepared, knowing our timing, and has been delivering value in a way. Like in between follow-ups, like I will share content from our website that I think they would find interesting based on their relevancy, based on what they're trying to solve for. And not just like case study type stuff, Emily, but more so like, what is this and how can it work for you in your organization? Or, what is this concept and, why should you not ignore it? And it's kind of like introducing something that you're definitely going to get into in the sales process, but you're introducing it early enough so that when you reference it, and you can kind of check with them too, like, hey, how's it going? How's it been since, we last spoke, all that. Did you get my email with a few of those resource articles that I shared? Yes, I did. Were you able to review them? And yeah, I skimmed them. Did you catch the part where this was brought up? Because that's kind of what I wanted to dive into today. And so if anything, like we find out, are they actually reading the content that we're sending them? And two, like, where are they at in their knowledge building process where I can meet them in the middle and then continue the journey with them together?
I've experienced do that firsthand for one of our clients. He was referencing a book you referenced and then requested our expertise to see if you should read the second one that came out for additional information.
Interesting.
All about the inbound cycle. So we are educators in the process.
Yeah.
Let's see, let's keep going for about a few more minutes and then wrap it up with some of the stories you've told and then what those findings are. So how do we build credibility when younger buyers bring, well, in some cases, 10 plus external influencers? They have communities, creator consultants. They bring these into their decisions. And I pulled this from Forbes recently.
You cut out that last line there.
It sounds extreme, so I feel I should source myself. So I pulled this from Forbes that buying committees are increasing. This could be for large purchases, quite large purchases. So just how can we talk about how we can help with that process?
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind, and it's nothing new, but like, obviously, like you have some internal champion that you're communicating with, you're working with, that is assembling these others, right? So one is obviously understanding to the nth degree, like what that individual is trying to solve for, what are they trying to get out of it, but then not assuming that that's everybody else's as well. So the more members, then you want to know. Thing I'm a big fan of doing in a call is like, here's what I plan to cover today, Emily, on our call. This, that, and the other. What are your expectations? And what would you like to get out of today's call? Like that can be so revealing to even with the person you think based on the last call, all that. Like that's what this sales consultant does with us. Like, this is what we talked about last time. This is what you were interested. This is what I mentioned. Is this still the case? And is there anything else that you'd like to cover on today's call, either related to this or otherwise? So understanding that with every point of influence that gets brought into the sales process, what do they want? What are they looking to get out of this? Why are they in this process? And so, like, how can you cater them? Because what you want to do is you want to create a fan base here with this committee of how you've been working to tirelessly on trying to solve for what they're looking to accomplish.
I think in that process, because you're a skilled salesperson, we hear your expertise and how you approach it, just like the Sherpa you're talking about. In addition to that, you're having digital touch points. So they're in our newsletter. They're getting those emails. They're opening those during the process, learning about what we have to say, what we're sharing, blogs we're writing about, and our expertise. So there's additional digital touch points that are happening, nurturing them as if they weren't a lead in the process, but when they are, they start to open up a little bit more. Hopefully that's getting them a different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And, some people read, some people watch, videos, some people just want to hear it straight off the cuff. So like, it's kind of like, how do you like to digest your information too? And then balancing all of the different personality types that go into that and the mediums that they prefer, how they, do their research, do their due diligence and investigation, and like going back to This is why you have podcasts and webinars and videos and blog content and downloadable stuff. And then the interactive things, like you need something for not just every point of influence in a buyer's journey, but then you also need to have multiple mediums based on that buyer's preferences or the different buyers. Like, so they might go through the same journey, but they receive things differently or have preferences along the way. Like, oh, at this stage in consideration, we're going to have this one or two or three different blogs just on this topic. Okay, well, you also need some videos, you need some podcast topics, you need to have, a talk track and an event that covers that too. Because knowing that you're going to hit people at different stages of their journey, but then you're also going to hit different preferences in how they digest and review and absorb information as well.
Yeah, one thing I think marketing might be able to get good at in any place, and LAIRE included, is getting into around campaigns by the quarter or cut it a year and a half, whatever you choose, and then focusing on one topic and every type of way of sharing that topic, whether it's podcasts, webinars, pillar pages, downloadables, small videos, and you just like go after that topic and dominate there rather than reacting like a lot of people did in 2025 or always do and say, AI, write about that, or this topic is important, like going after one topic and really going deep into it across all channels. And then everyone knows what you're talking about. So everyone who gets on a sales call knows what that theme is.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I got some idea alignment there. Well, maybe lead in with one question. Some of the research prior to this podcast was saying that these buyer cycles are not wanting to necessarily talk to someone. They're wanting to make their buying decisions before then. But it sounds like, Todd, you're having a lot of conversations. So, and you're great at them, and people do want to talk to us and they're getting educated along the way. Do you see that fading or changing, or people ever swiping a card on the LAIRE website without talking to anybody, or any SaaS company or anything, service company?
I think so. I think, like we have a pricing page. We pretty much have everything for somebody who is somewhat knowledgeable to make a decision and then just say, I want to kick the tires in person, and then away we go. And so that's kind of like the miracle slam dunk, your buying cycle of a week, 2 weeks, because maybe your website experience is thorough enough to drive that. Could we add a shopping cart and add engagement to my shopping cart and check out and sign an agreement and go, and then schedule your kickoff call, like all automated without talking to anybody? Absolutely. And maybe that's something we should look at. I think I probably complicate that process a little bit just to screen and make sure there's fit as well. Been doing it long enough, like it's a relationship-based business. We're not a generic company, like we're a family-run business, and my name's on the sign, right? Like literally, that means something. That means something to our buyers too. How do I replace myself? Well, I think the brand, as it grows, certainly could be about the brand and not the individual. But right now, and could that role that I'm filling, it gives me significance and importance, right? But could that be replaced through AI? Sure, definitely. And could AI do an algorithm and run like, yep, this client's a fit based on these factors, these signals, we recommend proceeding. And so then like they're ready to check out, or they have checked out, and it's pending approval on our side, and we look at it and AI is recommending it. It's kind of like we rent property. We're real estate enthusiasts, and we have rentals, and we do a credit check. Obviously we should. And that's pretty much automated. And so we don't grab any info. It's all in the application. It's all that's automated. They want to rent it. They click to, rent it, proceed with the process. Next step is credit check. They put in all their information. They pay for it. And then it says pending, and what's pending is it sends us their application with recommendations. Should we rent to them? Green check. Should we be cautious? Yellow stoplight, right? Or should we reject? Red stoplight, based on what factors? And then from there, we just say, yep, we agree or we don't agree. And then we don't talk to them. And then it goes right back to the renter and tells them that they're in or not. And if they're in, then, we're talking money and they're signing a lease and we're giving them keys. All of that could be automated without them seeing us. But then the other side of it, if it's messy, we don't have to get involved either by telling them no. The credit check software tells them no. So that's nice. We could do that.
Interesting. I'm not sure if that's the 2026 right around the corner, but could be something. So what you're telling me is that you can both order a car, have it delivered to your house, order an agency, and be in a marketing engagement at the same turn of a finger.
That's something for us to work on, isn't it?
Sure. If I can get a car to my door, why can't you get a marketing engagement?
That's it.
Just online.
Yeah. Just like Amazon. Just add
just
to
like
cart.
Amazon. Well, yeah, that could be another episode. How can you be more like Amazon if you want to be, or more family run? Could be that could be a debate.
I think you can do both. Yeah, and maybe there's a third option.
All right. Well, any takeaways or anything you're watching for in the next 3 to 6 months as it relates to?
I'm still doubling down on education. One of my favorite quotes out there is, the businesses that are the best educators will be the most successful because of that education component. That story I told about going through this consultative sales process. Like, I've learned so much. More so, it's brought me more value into how to use this product once we do invest in it, because we've taken the time and have been thoroughly introduced to it, seen use cases, used it live, and so it's like getting a car to test drive for like not just a day, but like 3 weeks, a month, to really interweave it into your daily life. Like, talk about buying confidence through, letting the product do the work for you first. So yeah, that's mine.
What am I watching for? Besides the podcast I typically listen to, which is AI Daily Brief and Marketing Against the Grain, I'm wanting to simplify and be more intentional. So I don't want to just, there's a new AI to use, there's a new version of it or something. I want it to be simplified and very focused. So like I said, a campaign for the first quarter, and then every type of way to share that for all the different types of learners. And then intentional with, I specifically use this tool and this is why, and I don't use the other tools, and take out the noise.
Love it.
That's my plan.
It's great.
Well, that's a wrap. Let's wrap it up.
There we go. All right. Well, hope everyone enjoyed the episode. Emily, thank you so much for being my co-host on today's topic, our part 2 of the 2-part series of how sales is evolving and how marketing is impacting that in 2026. And hope to get this out soon to everywhere you listen to podcasts. Take care, everyone. And yeah, keep at it. It'll pay off.
Pay off. All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of the Married to Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Laura, along with my husband and partner, Todd. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback fuels our passion and keeps the marketing fire burning bright.
And if you're hungry for more marketing magic, be sure to visit our website, marriedtomarketing.com, where we've got a treasure trove of additional resources, episode transcripts, and mind-blowing bonus content.
We'll be back next week with another engaging episode. Until then, be creative, get strategic, and never go to bed angry.